Okay, so hopefully you had some time to think about the last question, and now I'm going to do the answer for you. So we're going to start with the inside out, and we're going to put h of x inside of g of x. So what's h of x? H of x is a. So that's going to go inside g of x. So basically a is going to go in for x. So all of this stuff here is going to now be f of a plus 1. Okay, so make sure that makes sense, right? The a went into g of x. So h of x went inside to g of x. And that evaluates to a plus 1. Now I want to do f of a plus 1. So I have to take my function f, write it out, and inside I need to put a plus 1, right? So that's what it's going to look like as my final answer. So f of g of h of x is equal to 2 times the quantity a plus 1 squared. And of course, you could multiply that out if needed. Now, what I want to talk about is how I go backwards, how I reverse engineer the problem. If you were to be given a function, could you decompose the function into the inside and outside function? And that's a skill that you'll need for calculus. So let's talk about how that would work. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of a function that I have put together. So I have put together the following: this function h of x, and it's a composition of functions, right? It's equal to the quantity 3x minus 5 cubed. All right, so what I want you to think about is what were the two functions that could have made this function up, right? What were two functions I could have put together to make this up? What is the inside? What is the outside? So think about this. See if you can decompose this and figure out two functions that I could have used. Think about f of x as the outside function, right? Think of g of x as the inside function. So what do you think happened? So pause the video and see if you can try it, and then see if you can put them all back together to make sure it works. Okay, so the way that I think about this kind of question is I think the outside function is something that you could see from 10,000 feet. If you were flying over this function from 10,000 feet in an airplane, what would the big picture look like, right? So if you're flying over this function, you're probably like, hey, I can't really see too well, but it looks like something is being squared, like some big quantity is being squared. So I would say that the outside function is not squared, cubed. I would say the outside function is x cubed, right? The inside function is what happens if you fly closer to the object and get a closer, careful look at it. You're like, well, wait, what's being cubed? Let's dive in and look a little closer. Oh, 3x minus 5 is being cubed. That would be my inside function. So how can I test if I'm right? Well, let's try this. Does h of x equal f of g of x, right? When I compose the function, if I do it correctly, I should get back my original answer. So if f of x is my outside, I'm going to put parentheses cubed. G of x I'm putting inside, 3x minus 5. Yep, that sure looks correct. All right, let's try one more, and then I think you'll get the idea. Again, I'm going to give you a function that I've composed, and you're going to try to decompose it into its two parts. So what if I gave you h of x equals 1 over the quantity x minus 2 squared, and I asked you, hey, what were the two functions that made that up? What was the outside function and what was the inside function? Again, you're going to think of the outside function as flying over the function at like 10,000 feet, right? What's the big idea? Like, what do you see? So if I were flying over this function, I'd be like, I can't really tell, but it looks like it's like 1 over something squared, right? So the outside function, I would say, is 1 over x squared. And then the inside function, if I dive closer, well, what's being squared on the bottom? Oh, that looks like x minus 2, okay? So again, let's test it. Does h of x equal f of g of x? Well, let's see. So if I take my outside function and I leave a space where x is, and I put inside the function x minus 2, I do get back what I started with. And so that must be the correct breakdown. Now, I will say there theoretically are other ways to break these down into the inside and outside function. So you may have actually been able to think of other examples that I did not list here. But I hope that helps understand inside, outside functions and composition.